Welcome back, part two. Okay, so we learned about the two selection tools. The next tool in oh my goodness. Okay, all right. So you guys know I'm in Vegas, so I'm getting a whole bunch of texts and stuff about events and stuff that are supposed to happen tonight. But anyway, so we are at the next set of tools. Which are going to be our quick selection and our magic wand tool. People love these tools, I'm telling you. All right, so the quick selection tool allows us to make quick selections. The magic wand tool relies heavily on that contrast between the background. All the tools really rely on the contrast, but you can set tolerances and stuff with the magic wand. So I'm going to do the magic wand tool first. Let's click on that one. And remember, that's the one that's at the bottom because I clicked and held, and I got that flyout menu. Magic wand. So what happens is, I'm just going to click on the background. So see how the magic wand tool takes and, okay. See how the magic, don't worry about that notification, but see how the magic wand tool takes and it looks at the continuous color that it has. And this is how it's working. It's looking at the continuous colors of blue and it's selecting those or colors that are similar to that. So it's looking at those pixels and it's like, all right, so the tolerance is about 32 pixels. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna grab colors in that area. So if I hold shift, notice I have a plus and then I can click and I click in another area and it'll grab the tolerances of 32 in that area, right? So if I click again, I can get this area down here and click again and I can get some of these areas and I can click the plus and pretty good, right? Pretty good. I'm getting this chin and maybe that little area right there. So this is not a bad selection. It did pretty good, but that's because there was enough contrast in this picture and the colors of those clouds and those blues and those grays and then the color down here, a continuous color. But where this does not do well is if you had something, let's say you had, you were trying to take a tree which had green leaves, and then in the background was some grass, green grass. Well, it's not gonna really do as good of a job because there are gonna be so many different variations of the greens, so many different variations of the whites that are in between that or whatever other color, browns and stuff like that. So in this instance, it did a great job. Now, I'm just going to, right now, it's selected this area, but let's say I select inside his purple shirt, okay, which is going to get rid of the other selection. So I'm just going to click here. Now, if I hold shift and I start clicking, notice how this shirt has so many different types of purples that it's having a hard time picking it all, right? So then I have to go in and oh my goodness, and just, oh, it can be tedious. I'm just clicking, holding shift and plus clicking. This can be forever. So this is what I'm talking about with this tool. Sometimes it's amazing. And all the tools are like that. Sometimes they're amazing and sometimes they're not, which is why you want to know more selection tools than a few so that you can get, so that you can just work within, different tools as well. All right, but that is pretty much the magic wand tool. That is how it works. So I'm going to deselect that shortcut key again. What was it? What was it? Oh, you told me Command or Control D. Yes, it was. You're so bright. All right. So the next one is the quick selection tool. This tool becomes a friend because what's cool about this tool is you can make it larger, you can make it smaller. These bracket keys, so next to your P on your keyboard, the letter P as in Paul, next to that you have a left and right bracket key. You also have the curly braces at the top. But if I choose the right bracket key, I make that brush larger. If I choose the left bracket key, I make the brush smaller. Again, these are the left and right bracket keys that are next to the P on your keyboard. So what I'm going to do, notice I did one click and I pretty much got his face. Now, it depends on the image you have because you might be like, oh my gosh, Miss Baslasin or Happy Teach or whichever name you decide to call me. You might be like, oh, that didn't happen when I did that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because that means that maybe your image is different than mine. And that's fine. That's fine. So now we got the head selected. Now we want to get this purple area, and we got that selected, and it worked great. They're not, it doesn't do that all the time, but now if I zoom in and I'm hitting Command or Control plus plus so that I can get a little closer, we will see that there are some inconsistencies. There's like his hair of his eyebrows that it didn't get, and the nose area, So it's not perfect, but it is a great tool to use. But it's not perfect. It has its issues. So if I made the brush smaller, and I just go around that edge, I could get those areas that were hard to get. But this is where working with a combination of tools is really going to help with that. But right now we're just learning selection tools, so we're going to be patient. Okay. All right. So, and again, that was Control plus plus. If I hit Control or Command 0, it's going to go back down to it's fitting the screen. If I hit Control 1, it tries to show you what it will look like if it was at 100%. But in any event, these are really, really cool tools. I like that. Okay, I'm going to hit that shortcut key to deselect. What was that? It was Control or Command D. Yes. You guys rocked it, right? Then we have the crop tool, and what the crop tool does is it just crops out your image. So let's say I clicked it, and then it gave me like those little handles, and now I can just bring it in, and I can crop out my image. Now, notice delete crop pixels is checked on mine. So that means if I hit enter or accept this crop right now, it's going to delete some pixels. We are not in the deleting pixel game, guys. That is not us at all. So we want to uncheck delete crop pixels, and then we want to either hit the enter key or you hit that check mark. And once you hit that, then you have committed. Oh yes, you have committed to that crop. But if you ever needed to go back, you get the crop tool, right? And then you can bring back those pixels back. They weren't lost, guys. See? That's what I'm saying. That's what we like. See? So cool. All right. So hit enter. All right. So I'm going to undo that, but I just wanted you to know that that's how the crop tool works. So we also talked about the history panel over here. If I click this history panel, I can go back in history. Like I can go back to when I first opened this, when I first placed the image. Go back to Magnetic Lasso, select, go back to Untitled. This is when I had nothing there as well. So just know that history panel is there for you. It is your friend. It is your friend. So I'm going to actually crop it to here. Play like I was on a Facebook page, and here. All right. And then I'm hit enter. All right. So all I did was adjust the crop, just adjusting the edges. All right. So now there's also perspective crop. Now I haven't messed with the perspective crop tool much. I can only okay, sweet, yeah. All right, we have to have something that supports perspective, which I do not. But anyway, so I have the slice tool and a slice select tool. So if I wanted to slice something up, I would. So let's say I was making a web page and I wanted to slice just a certain area, or I just wanted one area from this, like his head. Well, what happened is, you see this blue slice is the slice I actually made. But this would be like trying to cut a birthday cake from the center. Cutting a birthday cake from the center is kind of impossible. If I just wanted that center hole area, let's say like for my daughter, she always wants whatever area has that heavy icing, like say it was a balloon. She'll say, oh, I want the piece with the balloon. So if I tried to cut that piece and serve it to her, I couldn't. I would have to slice all the other areas around that cake in order to get that slice to her. And that's what Photoshop is doing. In order to get this piece, it's sliced right here. We see the one is sliced up here. It made a slice here. It made a slice down here. It made a slice down there just to give us this one slice. So that's the slice selection tool, slice tool, and how it works. If I chose the slice select tool, I would just double click on it and it would allow me to name it. It would tell me what the width and the height is for the web. My web students used to use this all the time, so that's where it came in handy for that. But we're just going to undo that. We're going to grab Let's do hide slices. Let's go to view and let's clear slices. All right, so slices are cleared. The next tool is the eyedropper tool. Now, for this tool, if I wanted to select a part of the image, let's say I want to select this part, notice how it made the blue. You see that? Or if I want to select over here, notice how it's changing it to a lighter blue. So it's just selecting different parts of, or different colors of the image that we may want to display. And that's what's happening with that tool. It samples color for you. Inside of here, I'm trying to think of the tools that we're actually going to use for this week. We'll be using other tools later. We're not using those this week. We're not using those this week. Brush tool, let me see. And I didn't go over it last week, so I don't want to go over it now. Let's see. I think those are, the next tool that we went over, but that's when we get into masking. So we'll get into that when we get into masking. But you also have shape tools, vector shape tools, which we'll get into when we get into masking as well. Okay, so for now, this concludes this video. We went over the remaining selection tools that we're going to use, and in the next video, we'll get into masking. So I just wanted you guys to get the selection down because you can't talk about masking without talking about selection. So there you have it. That is our second video, and we'll get to videos 3 and 4 soon.